भारत ने कोविड-19 से स्वतंत्रता का ऐलान कर दिया है। भारत के सभी निवासी हर सांस से आभारी उन सभी स्वास्थ्य कर्मियों के लिए जो वीर सेनानी की तरह जान हथेली पर रख हमारी हिफाजत करने निकल पड़े हैं। उनके पथ पर आई हर संकट को हम मिटा देंगे, जो अपनी जान पे खेल के हमारी जान के लिए लड़ रहे हैं। उनकी हिफाजत के लिए हम जान लगा देंगे। ये जिम्मेदारी है, मुहिम है। हम भारत के निवासी ध्यान रखें उनका जो हमारे ध्यान में जुटे हैं। इस स्वतंत्रता दिवस सभी स्वास्थ्य कर्मियों को नमन। देश हमारा है। On this Independence Day, we at Sakshi realize that unless young boys and girls learn the meaning of consent and personal boundaries, and unless the adults in the room understand that they're accountable, we are not going to be free of this violence. Today, I have with us a power couple, Dr. Vipulroy Rathod and Purnima Rathod, who are such adults and parents. So let's meet and hear from them. Welcome. Welcome so much for coming onto this show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Smita.
Thank you.
So before we go any further, let me just quickly introduce you briefly to our viewers. Founders and directors of India's #1 ranked standalone gastroenterology hospital, WGI, Dr. Vipulroy and Purnima Rathod are a power couple who came to the maximum city Mumbai in 1998 in pursuit of their dreams. Pioneer of endoscopic ultrasound in South Asia and known as the fastest and most accurate endoscopist, Dr. Vipulroy has one of the largest experiences in his field. He has trained over 450 gastroenterologists from across the world and is a visiting professor at Yale University. Purnima, other than being his wife and manager, is also a professional model and actor who has worked in several television commercials and web series. Apart from the professional accomplishments, they're also the parents to two strong and fiercely independent young women, Natasha and Vitasha Rathod, who are change makers in their own right. So, thank you so much for being on the show here with us, Vipul and Purnima.
Thank you.
So, before we go any further, I want to ask you, if I was to ask you to just give yourself 3 words that set you free, that give you a sense of freedom. What would those words be for you, Purnima?
3 words that set me free.
Yeah.
It's just the ability to be able to do whatever I want to do, really. I mean, I 3 words a little bit ago. So, Ripple's given me all the freedom and I have all the time and everything that I want to do in this life. So,
Excellent. So what are the 3 words? Like if I was to look at myself and give myself some words, I would say, my sense of creativity gives me freedom. My sense of the inner peace that I have that gives me freedom. So what would be those 3 things that give you your freedom?
I would think my spirituality that gives me that inner freedom. Yes. Now you definitely that goes without. Yes. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's it. My dedication to whatever I do, I think that gives me a sense of freedom as well. Yeah.
And what about you, Vipul? What would be your words?
Well, I feel the freedom does not come free.
Very well said.
For me, it is responsibility, accountability, and dependability. These are my 3 words for freedom.
That is true.
Responsibility, accountability, and the third one is?
Dependability.
Excellent. Brilliant. And these are the very values that I see that you have given to your daughters as well. So more power to you.
We are trying. We have tried. And credit goes to Purnima because I was hardly around when both were growing up to set up a unit or to start a career in Mumbai. So the full credit goes to Purnima.
Brilliant. And I will ask you more in more detail about all of this also as we go forward. And there are your lovely daughters, Ritasha and Natasha. When they were, how old were they here in this picture?
Natasha was, I think, 2.5 or 3. I think Rita was about less than a year old with this. Yeah.
Oh, lovely, brilliant, beautiful. So before we go into the stories of your children, I want to know your story. How is it? How was your childhood, both of you? I mean, I've met your father, Purni, and I've heard stories about your parents and the sense of humor that is like there in all the stories that I hear about your parents, Vipul. So just give us a sense of what your childhood was like. Both of you. Anybody can go first.
You go ahead.
You want to go ahead?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So, Smita ji, I grew up, I was born in Navsari, and we grew up in a small town called Navsari, which is about 250 kilometers.
There seems to be some issue with the network over there. And
Are we back?
Yes, we are back now. Yes.
Yeah. So it is Navsari is a small town, and Navsari is famous for one important historical event, and that was the Dandi March by Mahatma Gandhi, because Dandi beach is about 13 kilometers from Navsari.
Okay.
So we grew up in a small town. At that time, the population of the town would be around 70,000-80,000 max. And it was a very simple upbringing. My father, a very reputed surgeon, who did his fellowship from the Royal College of Edinburgh in those days, 1962, 63. And when he came back to Navsari, he had ample opportunities to set up a unit in Mumbai or be one of the leading surgeons in Bombay, one of the leading Bombay hospitals. But because of my grandfather and my grandmother, they insisted that nobody is there to take care of them. So he decided to give his services for a Parsi Charitable Trust Hospital that is called Ratanji Faramroj Dabu Hospital. And that hospital he served non-stop almost for 50 straight years, which I feel in itself is a commendable record by any standard by a single professional, not in a private practice, but serving a charitable organization.
Brilliant.
Which in itself, I would be not surprised if it's a record in South Gujarat or perhaps Gujarat. So he started his career in Navsari, and we had a very simple upbringing. Always home cooked food was the priority. There were no restaurants. Schools, we were very lucky to have English medium school education. But I was extremely happy when I did my 11th and 12th class in Gujarati medium. And that was a real challenge because every subject was in Gujarati medium, right? From mathematics to chemistry to biology.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And then after that 2 years of Gujarati medium education, then I went for the medical school, and there was all again entire English education. And I left Navsari when I was around 18.
Okay.
So a lot of cricket in my life as a young boy. Every evening, just throw the bag and have the friends of the street, and we used to play all kinds of games, which I'm sure most of the contemporary children don't even know about.
Like, for example?
We used to play marbles regularly.
Yes.
We used to play something where we put 7 small stones on each other, and we will hit. Yes, we will hit with the ball. Then we have so many such games where physical activity was involved, a lot of physical activity. And I think this was the formative years where it made me very sporting in the sense that it was athletic, activity in those days, because there was no TV, there was no internet. So the moment, and we used to play cricket even in the street lamp.
Yes.
So that's how we grew up, and our parents instilled very simple but very effective virtues. I still remember when I came to Mumbai, and one of the leading family physician on the very first week of my exposure to this city in 1992, I'm talking, when I came for fellowship after my surgical degree. One fine day he asked me, he said, "Young man, where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Navsari." He said, "That's a small town." I said, "Yes." "I want to tell you something." And he said that in this city, everybody is a scoundrel unless proved otherwise. And Smita, I could not sleep that night. And this was probably such a shocking revelation by a very senior family physician who was in 70s in Mumbai.
Yes.
I still remember his name. Dr. Vidwans told me this. And he was so categorically clear. And that is when I realized that we were always made to believe in a small town. Our parents believed in all the right virtues, to tell the truth, to be just and kind to everybody. But we never heard even the word scoundrel in Navsari. So,
I can completely relate to that. It's beautiful. I
yeah.
can see that is where you get your values from also when you're talking about responsible, accountability, and dependability. This is so evident in the life and the choices that your father has made, and who walked his talk and was there as a role model for you in front of you. And is that when you, kind of looking at your father, decided that you want to become a doctor as well? Was that the...
Well, I had a very keen interest in biology right from my school days. And I very vividly remember in our vacation times, I would accompany my father right from my first exposure to surgical procedure was when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So I remember very vividly that he took me to the hospital, and I said I would like to see the surgery. So I know it's not advisable for young children to get exposed to all these things, but he thought, why not? And I was made to sit on a high stool in the operating theater with a mask and a cap and all those gears. And I witnessed the first appendectomy my father was performing.
Brilliant.
So at that time, it was such fascinating, work. I felt that it was brilliant. This is something I would love to do when I grow up. And what happened in my career in education was that traditionally I was extremely strong in biology, but extremely weak in maths and physics. So biology and chemistry were my strong points. And I said, we are talking of biology and chemistry is biochemistry. I said, biochemistry is human body, and this is what we need to do.
Excellent.
So
Brilliant.
it went from there. Yeah.
What about you, Purnima? Tell me about your childhood.
I was born and brought up in Singapore. I think a lot of people know that. And I had a very simple childhood as well. And I grew up in a joint family with uncles and aunts and cousins. There were like 25 of us in a home. Yeah. So yeah, till in when I was about 10 years old, that we moved out to our own home with my mom and dad, my two brothers and myself. And being the only girl in the family, it's different being the only girl in the family. Yeah. Because mom expects, at least everyone expects the daughter to help out in the house chores.
Yes.
Which is not the case with boys in today's day and age, or even then at that point of time,
Right.
Boys were ladka hai, ladka ghar ka chulha wagera karna hai, kind of thing,
Very right. Very
So
right.
yeah, so I used to help mom with the chores and everything, and I must thank my parents that even though they they gave me all the freedom as a girl, as a woman, when I grew up as well, to make choices of my own. And from school, finishing school and coming out and getting a job, and getting a job with the airline and traveling the globe and everything. It's just they had that trust and faith in me as well, because that's something that I again, that we've lived life absolutely honestly, and that family time and everything that we used to have. People used to envy our family, because in Singapore it's not so common for families to sit down. Oh my God. Me my crew recently, when I bumped into my Singapore Airlines crew members, and I said, oh my God, I've not worn this uniform in more than 30 years now. Yeah.
Do you miss your flying days, Purni?
Yeah, I mean, it was nice, but I'm happy to be where I am today as well in life. I have no regrets for whatever I've done in my life, and it's been a beautiful journey throughout till now. And life has given me a lot of surprises, but I never thought I'd be doing the things that I'm doing today. Yeah.
No, I mean, imagine, I wouldn't, I'm sure when you were in Singapore, you may not have envisioned that you're going to be in a small place like Navsari.
No.
And when you were flying, you may not have thought about that you're going to be a director of a hospital, or
Never.
that you would be moving into modeling. So it has really been quite a journey where you can't predict what's going to happen at the next turn.
Absolutely.
But how have you been about this? Like, how did you just take everything in your stride? Was there resistance? How did you kind of?
No, I think I've taken everything within my stride, actually, because life is a continuous learning process. I don't have a university degree. I don't. Yeah. But life, I think, is the biggest university that has taught me a lot of things in life. And in practicality, I've learned everything. I like from building Endoscopy Asia way back in 2007. 2007 was when we got the plans towards later, and then I got the plans and I started sketching it on paper and designing the entire standalone ambulatory surgical center. And I drew it all on paper that this room should be of this size, this size, this size, just discussing with him, and then seeking measurements of every instrument trolley that's going to be, and just to make sure that there's enough space in the room and all that meticulous planning. Yeah, I've always been meticulous, and maybe an OCD, you can say, to the extent of minute planning as well. Whether it's for our conferences that I used to handle, we've done more than 17 international conferences till now, and one of them I've organized myself, planning everything to the T meticulously on my own. So yeah. It's challenging, it's rewarding at the same time. It's a learning experience, and everything I have learned in life, and I'm still learning even today with the crisis that has happened. I'm still learning to cope with things and managing a lot of things that I never imagined that I would be doing. Yeah.
So we can safely say you're the stronger side of Vipu.
I don't know. I think he's strong. I think he's equally strong. And I think, we both are strong, and that is why we can withstand whatever's coming our way, and to shield it off in a way and to fight it in a positive way. Yeah.
She is stronger, wiser.
No. Emotionally, I'm not. Emotionally, it affects me. I do get down. Yes.
Stronger, wiser, and luckier side of me.
Brilliant. So you have raised two insanely lovely, talented, and independent daughters, Ritasha and Natasha, and both of them are doing very, very well in their lives. How has it been raising them in the early years? I mean, was there like a division of labor between the two of you? Were you a hands-on father, Vipul? Or
no. I as I mentioned, that majority of training of girls, including their schooling and everything, Purnima gets all the credit. Yes, I used to have the best time with them. And when they were naughty or some scolding was needed, then Purnima would do that. So we have some wonderful memories from their childhood, but in a new city, when you are trying to set up a life, it time is a very uh, scarce commodity.
Yes.
So we used to meet
And
only on weekends and things like that.
yeah,
In all these years of married life, actually, we've lived apart for almost 11 to 12 years.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah. We've,
31 years now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
31 years.
Yeah.
So, Smita, what was important in the sense that there was a bond, and that bond evolved over a period of time as
Mm-hmm.
they also grew up, I guess. And now I'm more closer to them, though I don't call them all the time, but they are aware.
Yes, but today your daughters are calling you by your name. I mean, they call you Vips and Purni, right? And I was quite surprised when I kind of heard it for the first time. And I said, wow, that's really cool over here. So I said, oh, and I realized that you have been more of a friend with them, both
Yeah,
of you, as well as being very, very strong parents. So it's not as if you're only friends and the parenting responsibilities over. So both your girls can really depend on you for anything, and they have this huge security network that they have to fall back on in their heads. They're extremely secure because the kind of security that both of you offer to them. So what is really fascinating for me is that you've had really open conversations with your daughters, which many parents will never have. I mean, you've talked to them about sexuality, you've talked to them about body image, you've encouraged them to reach out for their stars and achieve their dreams. You've let both of them make choices, life choices, which many parents will shudder to think as the worst nightmare. कि भाई ये तो definitely नहीं करने देंगे हम अपने बच्चों को. But you have encouraged and empowered your girls to make the life choices that they want to make and been there for them in thick or thin, to support. And so you have really got like two very, very strong, successful women as your daughters. So I just want to know and understand, was this like a thought through process that, okay, we are going to create this kind of an open communication, conversation, something which everybody yearns for and craves for, and which is what is really the reality and the need of today?
Yeah. I think as a child, I had a very open relationship with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And like, because I didn't have a sister, my mom was not just my mom. She was my best friend, my sister, everything that you can think of. So I used to confide in her and talk to her and everything. And I said, that the day when I have my daughters or girls, I'll raise them in that manner where they too, I mean, we're just best friends, nothing more than that, as in they can confide in me, they can come and talk to me anytime. And I've always believed in giving them a platform wherein they can make their own life choices. Like after they're 12, I gave them both a gap year to do whatever they want to dabble in before deciding what they really wanted to do. So in that 1 year of gap year, they did a lot of things. Natasha did quite a few jobs and everything, and she discovered that she wants to be a filmmaker. And Ratasha, always at the back of her mind, she's always been an actor. So she dabbled in a lot of theater and everything, and she knew she wanted to be an actor. So all of that just sort of post that 1 year, then they decided, she decided to go into film school, and Rita decided to do acting school. Yeah. So,
Excellent. And what
yeah.
about you, Vipul?
well, I feel that giving if you want anything to blossom, you need to give the right ambience
Yeah.
for that. You need a right ambience, and I think the most important part is the faith and the trust you have to put in them.
Yeah.
I always told them. I remember we used to have Sunday brunch discussion sometimes with both the girls on the table,
Hmm.
and I always told them that do whatever you want, but take full responsibility.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Don't
Brilliant.
come really crying and pissed and frustrated. Whatever you do, take full responsibility. So the joy is yours, the suffering is yours, Of course, we are there to support as parents, but then it is your responsibility. So the moment you take responsibility, only then you will have a sense of freedom.
Brilliant. What a brilliant, brilliant value system. And I think this is a lesson that many parents need to hear and hear it loud and clear, especially parents of teenage girls who just want to control them and protect them and save them from any fallout. And I can understand that. But what is really more important is to actually enable them to make their choices and take their actions and understand the responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah.
My father always used to tell me when I was growing up that there are some mistakes you will have to make.
Mm.
But most mistakes of others you have to learn from.
Very wise man, your father.
Yeah, I said some mistakes you cannot avoid. But you have to learn from a lot of mistakes of others. And I feel that there's a very important lesson which I had in my life, that we have to observe people, we have to observe lives of the people. And a lot of life lessons can be learned without going through that suffering.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, out of 31 years that you're together, you said that about almost 11, 12 years you actually spent in making and achieving the work that you're doing and offering as leading the biggest name in gastroenterology that you have today. You are very renowned and very successful. And then you started your own hospital, also the World Gastroenterology Institute, WGI. What really was the driving force behind starting that hospital? Because there's a lot of hard work that went into it, and I know that it was ranking number one in India, not just in Bombay or anything, but it was ranking number one in India. And Purnima, you had a huge role to play in the administration and holding of the hospital together. So just talk a little bit about the journey. About, was this a common dream? Was this Vipul's dream? Was it a dream that both of you saw together? Just talk to us a little about that.
Overall, yes, from the time we started Endoscopy Asia in 2008,
Yeah.
going back then to a daycare ambulatory surgical center, which was only in a 1,500, 2,000 square feet area with a daycare. It started from there, and we realized that we needed to cater to more people because there was a lot of suffering of patients actually, and to be able to reach out to many more people, because being where we were in that locality, we were not able to reach out to many others. So we decided we should have another center, maybe a bigger center, and to try and provide services of excellence to the broad spectrum of patients.
Well,
Because many a times, patients would be, on an average, out of 10 patients who visit us on a daily basis, four of them maybe might have gone to 6 to 7 doctors before they finally land up with us, and where they actually have an accurate diagnosis and a treatment. And by then it's many a times too late for the poor patient, and he's given a death sentence. So why should a patient suffer at the cost of the doctors not knowing what they're doing? This is
well, the reason for starting WGI was that we wanted for our patients to have a dedicated single specialty focused services in a subspecialty called gastroenterology. This was non-existent in Mumbai. So WGI is and was, there's a physical structure, is the only dedicated gastroenterology facility by city. And I felt that whenever you do some focused work, the quality, the safety, the predictable outcomes will have a huge impact.
Yes.
Just to give you a little idea, I'm very proud, and we both are very proud to share this with our viewers today, that in 5 years of the physical space of WG at Andheri, we clocked about 15,000 endoscopic procedures
Wow.
single-handedly. with zero mortality in the hospital. Zero mortality. There's not a single death in the hospital. Not because of the lack of procedure or because of the procedure. And the overall complication rate of our services which we provided was less than 1%.
Wow.
Now, this was possible because of a controlled environment. That's what I come back to the ambience, that if you want something to really fructify, you need a certain environment and ambience for the desired outcomes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you have a very nice controlled environment, you can grow strawberries in the run of Kutch.
I'm going to invite our viewers to see a small film that is there on this hospital, and that will give you an idea about what is it that we are talking about. So let's just look at this film for 3 minutes.
Okay.
There's no sound here.
Modern, with different floors and different activities, and a great leader, of course.
Here, when you get inside, it's very well organized. You get a lot of friendly people giving you a hand, guiding you around. And when you step into the endoscopy suites, you feel like you're at home in Europe. So you get all the latest equipment, you've got all the latest accessories, you've got perfectly trained people, and with something you might not even find in your business, with a lot of dedication.
We're understanding that disease is something that is not isolated. It's part of a process. And I think what this institute represents for me is moving in the direction of not just addressing what is of great expertise, which is the endoscopic treatment, but also integrating that really with a more holistic approach.
The expertise that Dr. Vipulroy brings to the table and the following that he has across the country, even internationally, adds a lot of value.
There's no other better place than this to learn EUS and the ERCP skills than anywhere else in North America.
My first experience was walking into the auditorium, and I was amazed. Really, I've never seen a conference like this with that sort of quality.
I have been in the gastroenterology work for the last 40 years. I have met a lot of colleagues across the world, and I think the most I have impressed is here in India.
There's an input to disease that's just not strictly limited to the body itself, but it's also to the mind and the spirit. I think it's very visionary. I think it really represents where I think medicine is now going.
Welcome to WGI.
Congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations for this. Congratulations. I'm going to just take the conversation into another direction, which is COVID-19. This has been a very, very difficult time. The pandemic has taken a toll on everyone, and it continues to be very hard for medical professionals, especially, all of you are committedly serving all of us, all the humanity, and you're constantly exposing yourselves to the hazards of getting infected. You both have had COVID and you both recovered. What would be your advice as a doctor, as a medical professional, to all of us?
I think you just have to take care, take all the precautions, and just have a healthy diet. I think that's very important to strengthen your lungs by doing simple yoga, kriya, breathing exercises, and eating well and eating the right foods and just taking care of your inner well-being. And I think that will really help you. And if you don't have to go out, don't go out unnecessarily. Just be home and work from home. That's perfectly fine, because this is a time where you just want to be safe and stay alive for this 1 year. That's it. That's the motto for this year.
Thanks, Vipul.
Well, as a doctor, I would like to say a few things over there to our viewers. Probably this is not a natural virus. It has been tweaked. And therefore, the behavior, the clinical course is very, very different for each individual patient. And that makes it very dangerous. I heard yesterday that a 36-year-old young man had acute kidney injury and he has acute kidney failure because of COVID. Not his lungs. Lungs came later. So what is happening here is that this virus is attacking in different aspects of the anatomy. And it is not predictable. Say, for instance, I will give you an example. Say if somebody gets a malaria, we all know that there will be fever with chills, and then you'll have a little body ache. You take chloroquine and other medication from antimalarials, and in the next 3-4 days, you'll be fine. So there is a predictable clinical course in vast majority of either bacterial or viral infections, unlike this virus. And therefore, it is my humble request to all our viewers, especially anybody over the age of 65 in their families, should refrain from public contact till a definitive treatment is on the horizon. So this is, I'm not talking of preventive, I'm talking of definitive treatment. I'm sure they are working on something, but vaccine is far-fetched, though they have claimed. But prevention is the only cure.
Thanks, Vipul. Thank you. Those are very strong words and strong advice, and I hope all our viewers are paying heed to it and not giving in to the anxiety and the insecurity that drives many of us to step out of our homes and make irresponsible choices. Coming to that, Vipul, you've always spoken about the importance of a healthy gut. Would you like to share a little bit with our viewers about how stress affects our gut and gut affects the overall health? What would be your advice on how we can take care of ourselves? Some of the day-to-day activities that we can do to regulate the stress so that it doesn't affect the gut, so that it doesn't affect our health.
Yeah, I would say something that stress is good for life. But most humanity is suffering from distress.
Point.
So stress is good for progress. Stress is good for pushing you out of your bed and go ahead and do whatever you need to do. So stress has nothing, it has been really maligned, that word. Most people, they do not have the boundary, or they do not demarcate where the stress ends when the distress starts.
Very right.
So if you can have this demarcation and you know not to cross that line, then you are okay. Then you can take as much stress as you want without affecting your physiology. I know it comes with practice, it comes with certain disciplines, a lot of grace of your guru, your divine, whatever you may call it. But yes, stress is good for life, to progress and to do what you are supposed to do on this planet. About the gut, you have to understand that when you talk of health, we are essentially talking of two components. One is a physical or physiological health, and another is the psychological health. I always tell my patients that these are two rail tracks, physiology and psychology. And if you do not have a proper distance in between this and a proper rhythm, your train of health is going to derail.
Very well said.
So this is extremely important, that the mind and the gut is constantly interacting. In fact,
We always say that the gut is the first mind.
No, well, the gut,
it's the first place to react.
No, we always
yeah.
say, Smita, that this is my gut feeling. What is this gut feeling?
Absolutely.
Yes. So I always tell my patients also that your thoughts will have a tremendous impact on your well-being overall, not just the gut. I give this example to my patients. Yes, sir, how this mind can affect my stomach and this indigestion, gas, bloating, acidity, this, that. So I give them an example. I want you to think about imli just now. Just a thought of imli.
Tamarind.
And your salivary glands will start profusely.
Yes.
I'm glad you're not playing Chennai. Otherwise, it would be difficult for a Chennai player to do that. So, just the thought of imli and your entire endocrinal system has activated. Similarly, a certain continuous conscious, subconscious, and unconscious thought process will lead to profuse secretions of gastric juices, acids, and a lot of other things which we are not even aware. So, therefore, the mind and the gut harmony is essential. I would also go one step ahead for those who are really suffering from the stomach issues. I'll take that liberty, Smita-ji, to avoid wheat-based products if their stomach is not agreeing. And the reason behind that is that a lot of wheat which we eat in India, as far as my knowledge goes, is an imported wheat from overseas. And we do not know where is a large chunk coming. Now, according to the United States, in 1962, they did GMO of the wheat to feed the whole planet. And this is one of the reasons why I have been discussing some of the issues of GI problems in the United States. More and more young people are now gluten intolerant in United States.
What's happening?
Yeah, because you have to understand that there will be a couple of generations which will take to evolve their digestive system to digest a genetically modified food. And therefore, I strongly would suggest everybody, though we practice it every day, to predominantly eat South Indian diet.
A rice-based diet.
A rice-based diet.
It's lighter on the
stomach. It is lighter and it has
easily,
pre and probiotics both. So you don't need any additional supplements for probiotics or any of that.
So the idlis and the dosas.
And that's where culinary skills of Purnima comes in.
And this is really good news for all of us who love South Indian food. So listen to Dr. Rathod.
Yes. And I'm practicing. We both are practicing and we are the proof of that.
Excellent.
See, a lot of people ask me, what is the definition of success? I say the definition for me for success is not to visit a hospital, not to fall sick, which requires intervention or major procedures or surgery. You are walking and talking and eating what you want and shitting on time till your last breath. That is success for me.
Beautiful. I wish everybody this success on this Independence Day. And really, and also now I want to come back to you, Purni, because you are a very, very huge believer and practitioner of the Isha Yoga. You had a beautiful Devi temple. We saw a visual of that in the film that we have. Tell us a little bit about your, in short, because we're kind of running out of time, but in short about your spiritual journey with Sadhguru.
In short, I'll say that it's been a beautiful journey. And I couldn't ask for more. And I think everyone needs a drop of spirituality in their lives. To have that divine grace upon them to do whatever they need to do, which is many a times beyond our own comprehension. That we have the innate ability and capabilities that sometimes we underestimate ourselves, but when you let that divine force just commit everything into his hands, and things just happen magically. And life has been magical for us. Yes, I would say that in short. Yes.
It's brilliant to hear you say that and live it, actually, because the kind of surrender, unconditional surrender, that I have experienced and seen with the two of you is something which many desire for and work towards all their life and yet do not achieve it. So I would say that's something that I'm really humbled by when I witness it with the two of you, the surrender. I have one last question over here, and that's for both of you. So you all know that we are working for prevention of child sexual abuse, and we are continuously encouraging a very, very active communication between parents and children. We are also working to encourage that survivors should seek resolution for their unresolved trauma because it affects their health, their gut, the mind and health harmony that you're talking about. So just for the viewers, if you can expand that and make the viewers understand the impact of unresolved trauma on the gut and general health, and what can we do to heal ourselves, which is what brings everything that you're doing together, from your spirituality to your health and the gut. So can you just do that connection for us once for the viewers? How unresolved trauma impacts the health of our gut and our overall health as such?
Well, first of all, I would like to congratulate you, Smita, and your entire team.
Absolutely, for doing this
for
marvelous work.
spearheading, I think, this mission in the nation.
Yeah.
And I feel that it is grossly underrated, undermined, underreported issues in most societies, just not India. I think across the world. And the kind of resources and the kind of efforts which you guys need to make it happen across the length and breadth of this nation, I think every responsible family will have to come forward to support this mission.
Yes.
And I would like to appeal today all our viewers that these guys are the expert at doing this, and they need all the support to make it happen for at least the coming generation and this generation.
Yes.
So we want to pledge our support today to Sakshi.
Absolutely.
Thank
you. Always be there.
Yeah.
And we really admire the entire team of Sakshi for this stupendous, very hard
task that you guys have taken on.
And I don't know, a lot of time thankless job. But I'm sure this is how people make difference in life.
In our own little ways, we all have to contribute. And each one of us have to be responsible and to take this upon ourselves to ensure that there is safety at home and on work fronts and on all fronts. It's to save the child and the girl child and all that.
But I'm glad, Smita, that this movement has started and there is some awareness percolating in the society, which I feel, and the government also hopefully implements and helps organizations like you to really, get it implemented in every educational institutes or working place in the nation. So this is our prayer and wishes for you and the Sakshi to go from strength to strength, and yes, you guys will make a difference in this nation.
Thank you so much, Vipul. Thank you, Purnima. And as we come to the end of this session, I will very quickly share with our viewers, we have a small maxim for anybody who would want to join this movement to stop child sexual abuse. We say, na karenge, na karne denge. Agar ho raha hai, to rok ke rahenge. Aur agar hua hai, to bol ke rahenge. Just very quickly would like to also share with you that we have a campaign, Make Home a Safe Space on Keto, and I would encourage you and spread the word in the people that you know who can come and encourage us to create one Rakshin. Rakshin is somebody who learns how to prevent harm and child sexual abuse within the family. and is capable of de-escalating the violence, which generally occurs over there. I will also invite both of you and to spread the word. I know you have been for our webinar, but to spread the word, come for our Sunday webinars. And this is for anybody. I like to know, let the viewers know, this is for anybody who wants to join the movement against child sexual abuse and become a Rakshan and understand what is it that you can do in your own lives to actually take actions to stop child sexual abuse. So with this, I want to ask you, Vipul and Purni, would you call yourself a Rakshan?
Ourselves, yes. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're always there to support.
We were already baptized Rakshans.
I also want to very quickly thank Ritu Rastogi and Supratim Sen from R2 for supporting this live. Fire events.
And the audio team, I think they have put up a brilliant audiovisual experience for all of us, I think.
Absolutely.
They need a big
hats off. Thank you.
Big hand for this. So I leave our viewers with a small pledge. हम रक्षण हैं देश के नागरिक. We, the Rakshans of India, pledge to prevent harm, to make home a safe space, and stop child sexual abuse.
Yes, absolutely. Thank
you so much. Thank you, Vipul. Thank you, Purni. Thank you for joining us here today and talking to our viewers and talking to us. And I want all our viewers to stay tuned in for the next speaker who's going to be here very shortly. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Vande Mataram.
Stay at home, stay safe, we were told. But what if homes are not safe for 1 out of 2 children in our country?